So one of the most common problems I hear from people is they don't have enough markers and their blending doesn't look right. I'm going to share a coloring technique that is a great solution to both of these problems during this video. We're also going to have a look at the newly released mini slimline trifold die set from Whimsy, and we're going to create a quick card for mom. Hello, I'm Lisa and I'm glad you stopped by. Welcome to the next card making process here at Confetti and Cards with Lisa. We're not wasting any time today, so I'll put a piece of 80-pound avalanche white cardstock in my stamp positioning tool and stamp the images from Whimsy Stamps Flower Wishes stamp set using Memento ink. Any alcohol marker friendly ink will do. Since the day I got started with alcohol markers, I've used Memento inks. They are my absolute favorite. I think the fact that these inks come in 36 colors, that all the colors can be used with your alcohol markers is really appealing to me. There are a lot of wonderful techniques you can use with these inks. Now, I have a video tutorial over on the Imagine Crafts website I did a few years ago that I'll link below for you. I recommend checking it out because it's packed full of valuable information about these Memento inks. Using my Spellbinders Platinum 6-inch machine, I die cut the stamped images out. Whimsy Stamps offers matching outline dies for this stamp set, which I love. Several of my crafty friends skip dies in favor of their electronic cutting machines. I get that. But for me, outline dies will always be my go-to. At the beginning of the video, I mentioned we would have a look at Whimsy's new slim trifold die. Here it is, and it is a workhorse, cutting out our trifold card base and embossing the fold lines for us. Additionally, it has 4 medallions that you can insert into the circles to dress it up. Keep it simple. It's completely up to you. I do have some samples at the end of this video demonstrating just a few possibilities offered from this die set. I'm using a coral color cardstock for my card today, but you most certainly can use any color you have on hand. I do recommend an 80-pound or 100-pound weight for this because anything heavier starts to create a lot more bulk with this trifold card. Now, I have a really fun tip I want to share with you real quick before we move on to our coloring. I've taken the die and I flipped it upside down. I'm putting a piece of low-tack tape on the back side across the stitched circles. Now, once I have that tape securely in place, I'm going to flip the die back over so the cut lines are facing up. Now that it's facing up, we'll take our card base, or you can create a template out of a piece of cardstock, and we're going to take and flip this so the large die cut circles are centered over the stitched circles on the die. Once I have them exactly where I want them, I'm going to use a piece of low-tack tape to hold this template in place while I insert some white circles that I have from a previous project. Now, if you don't have circles already cut out, if you have some scrap paper, use that and lay them over the large circles on the die and run them through your die cutting machine to create 3 circles to use. Once we have everything where we want it, we'll go ahead, take our circles, and we're going to secure them over our low-tack tape, pressing down in the center, and that low-tack tape is going to hold them in place. So go ahead, place all 3 circles. We're going to lift the template out of the way, and then we'll take this to the die cutting machine and run it through. And what's happening is we're creating these perfect frames to go around our stitched circles. So because I'm using a colored cardstock, I really wanted something to set that stitching off from everything else. And the white cardstock does the trick for me. So you can see how easy it is to create a card base with that amazing mini slimline trifold die from Whimsy. I used liquid adhesive to the back of those white die cut frames and added them on top of the stitched circles to just help that pop off like I mentioned earlier. So here you see me, I'm just playing around with the flowers that we stamped and die cut out earlier. So let's go ahead now and head right on into that tip I wanted to share with coloring. In coloring the flowers and stems for this card, I decided to use one of my favorite coloring techniques, tip-to-tip coloring. Now this technique has been around for a long time, but I feel like it gets overlooked way too often, especially for the beginner who may not have all the markers they think they need. It's a great way to achieve a gorgeous blend, and for me, it's a quick way to color small images without having to use a lot of markers. It's such a simple thing, too. You can see I already colored around the center of each petal with my BG15 marker. I'm going to take the colorless blender tip and gently run it over the BG15 tip, picking up the color with the colorless blender nib. So now you're going to take this to your image and start blending out from the edge of that BG15 that's already laid down. The colorless blender solution in the marker is going to push the BG15 color out of the nib. As you color, it's going to lighten that color, and it's creating a gorgeous and simple blend. Let's have a look at it using a Y17. Now, I lay down the Y17 color where I know I want the color to be most saturated. I'm just going to go ahead and use the marker for that. Now, using that tip-to-tip technique, I'm going to blend that out. And again, we're just using two markers, picking that color up from the Y17 with the colorless blender, and then blending out from where I ended with the Y17. I have a couple of things that I want to mention about this technique. This works great with alcohol markers. I do not recommend this technique with other markers. The results may not be the same. And after you're done, be sure you're cleaning the colorless blender nib off by scribbling it on a piece of scratch paper. And you do need to clean in between each time you move from one color to the next. So once I had colored my blue-green flower, I made sure I cleaned that nib off really well before I moved into the yellow color. It's time to wrap this up now, and the Whimsy Stamps 6x9 Dotty stencil was used to add some polka dots to this. I've been sharing a lot of cards over on my Instagram channel using this stencil. If you wish to follow me over there, my Instagram handle is listed in the description box below. Now, I just did a tone-on-tone technique because I'm using that coral color. I went with a pink ink and it worked out great. I'm using foam adhesives to add the flowers around the circles. I did die cut the word mom using the bold ABC dies from Whimsy and gold glitter cardstock. Added mounting foam to the back of each of the letters and then centered those in the round openings of my card base. So here are the samples I promised, featuring the mini slim trifold die set. It's an amazing die set. It's a workhorse. Remember, it cuts the card base for you and embosses the fold lines. Plus you get those 4 medallions that are great for inserting in the die cut circles. Now, I love to read your feedback, so be sure you're leaving a comment below. Don't forget, you can find me on Instagram at Lisa Ann Mensing. I want to take a second and say, the best way to support content creators like myself is by subscribing and clicking that notification bell, hitting the thumbs up if you enjoy the content and find it valuable, and also by sharing the content with others. Those are things that let YouTube know you would like to see more of our content. Now, for more information on the products you've seen in the video, you can click the affiliate links in the description box below. I appreciate you so much for spending time with me today. Till next time, please take care.